Today I'm going to be showing you how I colored the clothes in this page from Hanna Karlzon's Tales from the Witch's Cottage. This is a continuation from the last video. I did this and the tree trunk all in one sitting, so I apologize for the lack of a better intro. I decided after the fact to make it 2 videos. But without any other further ado, let's go ahead and get started. Let's look at the girl over here. So I know her shirt's gonna be cream, so let's start with her shirt. I grab my cream. Okay, we'll grab Eggshell because it's a nice, warm, slightly darker, creamy color. And maybe something in here just to keep the pink theme. So maybe Deco Peach. All right, that's what I'm going to start with. I'll need a shadow color, but I'm not going to pick that out yet. I'm not even going to test these. I'm just going to go straight in. So let me sharpen them. So actually, usually I don't test my pencils. I usually just pick them out from the swatch chart and then see what happens. And if I have to fix it, I have to fix it. But ain't nobody got time for swatching. I already have a swatch chart. That's what it's for. Well, let's start with the eggshell, actually. And again, I'm going to leave a rim of light around the edge for that backlight effect. I'm going in kind of ovally shapes. Just going to fill in down here. Under her arm will be darker, so I'm not going to leave that white. And then we'll come on her sleeve. And I am leaving the top half of her sleeve because again it's backlit but also top lit. Just like the tree trunks, your lighting you want to be fairly consistent. It was okay to just faff around with the trees because the leaves are all splayed funny and so light does funny things through there. So you don't have to be real picky there, but once you're coloring this type of thing, then I try to be more consistent. All right, and I'm gonna use the cream just to kind of fill in the rest of that shoulder, but also again, not bringing it to the edge. Let's get the collar of her shirt. Okay, and then we'll throw in some of this Deco Peach just to kind of pinky taupey it up. And I'm going to kind of go in some of the more shadowed areas with this. I'm basically just going over the eggshell. Because her shirt is kind of white creamy color, it's going to reflect a lot of the sky light, so it's okay that it's looking very similar to the sky right now. Once we add in a shadow around the edge, it will stand out a little bit more. So let's take that eggshell, that's our darkest color we have right now. I'm just gonna go over these lines a bit, flick them up. Need these wrinkles here, they're gonna have shadow. Okay. Let's pick our shadow color. Maybe like a rosy beige color. Maybe the nectar if we want to pull something in from something else. Since we used the nectar in the tree trunk, we could try the nectar as a shadow. I'm not sure I'm going to love it though. I think I want something a little more taupe-ish. So I'm going to try the rosy beige. And basically I'm just going to go around the edge with it. Make that rim lighting really dramatic. And then just kind of fuzz it out on this side a bit. I want to keep that sharper edge on that side where it's still light around the edge, but then I'll fuzz it into the shirt like that. And let's go over some of these wrinkles. A little shorter than we did with the eggshell. And I'm going to do the same thing on her sleeve where I kind of go around that. I'm basically just going over the edge that I left white and then fuzzing it up onto the color that's already there. And I'm going to take my cream here, and this is kind of a wide rim where this line is, so I'm going to bring it down a little bit. Just kind of going to go over on the other side of the line just a bit. And then here under her arm is going to be a bit darker. And now what I'm doing is I'm just bringing some of those wrinkles upward, because it's going to wrinkle under her arm as well as here at her skirt. So those wrinkles are going to kind of run into each other. Alright, that's pretty good for now, I think. Okay, so let's do the ribbons. I think it would be nice if the ribbons kind of matched the trees. So let's pull out some of the colors we used for that. That was pomegranate and magenta raspberry, I believe. Let's pull out the pomegranate and magenta. And again, the bigger the difference between the dark and the light is going to make something look more shiny or more textured. So with this shirt, our shadow's not that dark. And that helps it look like a cotton piece of material, because cotton's not shiny. But we want the ribbons to be kind of shiny. So I'm going to have an even bigger difference between the shadow, which means a really dark shadow, and the highlight, which means a very bright highlight. So the highlight's going to be pretty much white. The shadow is going to be very dark. So I'm going to start in by adding in the magenta, and I'm going to start at the edge. And I'm just kind of going to flick. You see the curve there? I'm not going to go over the curve. I'm just going to flick toward the curve. I'm going to come at this edge and do the same thing. Flick toward that curve. Leave that white. That curve is going to stay white. Here's the pomegranate. Oop. Tip's broken. Okay, so same thing. This is the magenta. And the pomegranate. Now this one, because it's going to be in shadow because of the wrinkles on her shirt and everything, I'm not going to leave as large of a white space. Okay, I'm going to do all the ribbons this way. This curve that's coming down, I'm going to go ahead and color in that one that's going downward. But I'm going to leave the ones that are poking upward white. Nope, I changed my mind. I'm going to do the opposite. So again, I'm not fussed about lifting all of the color. When I go over it with a white Posca or something, it will take care of that. So magenta, I'm going to do the opposite. The ones that are going up will be colored and the ones that are going down will be white. I'm going to leave a little rim lighting here, just like on her shirt. I'll leave the center light colored. Add in that pomegranate. Okay, and I think what I'm missing from this color here is the pink that we used. So I'm going to grab the pink pencil and just kind of use that to blend a bit more into the white. But I'm still careful to preserve the white of the page. Here, I'm just going to go ahead and make that white part pink because I really don't think there's a lot of light reaching there. It might be a little lighter, but not super shiny there. And then what I'm going to do is, do I want to do it with cream or white? I think I want to do it with white. I'll grab my white pencil. Starting in the white section, I'll show you with this one since it's the largest. Starting in the white section, I'm going to go back and forth and blend the color side to side. There you go, blends it out. You're gonna make sure that your pencil's clean on the tip before you go back into another white section, or you might accidentally drag some of that pink color, more of that pink color through there than you intended. See, and once I put the white pencil down even, it's hard to tell, especially because it was so tiny. The white Prismas are pretty opaque. So it is a little darker than these other spots, but once I throw Posca on there, it'll be fine. Now the white muted some of the pomegranate color, I think. So just in some of those areas, I'm just gonna lay it down a little bit again. Okay, and let's actually make the collar of her shirt the same ribbon color. I'm going to leave the tops of it kind of white And I'm not going to add in all the colors because there's just not enough space there, but I'll do a little bit of the pink. And then I'll go over it with the white. Just like that. Now if I wanted to deepen any shadows, I can grab the raspberry that we used in the leaves for a shadow color. And I'm just going to go over some of the deepest crevices. Like these spaces where the ribbon comes into the knot. Space where the ribbon is sitting on her. I'm going to go over this bottom black line with the raspberry. Okay. And I think what I'm going to do is those white sections look a little large, so I'm just going to take the pink and make them a bit smaller. Okay, her skirt. Let's do her skirt with a raspberry color as the shadow, or mid-tone-y shadow, darker mid-tone. And I'm going to go over the lines that are there, the wrinkles, and just extend some of those wrinkles and fuzz them out a bit. Theme of the day, fuzzing them out. And then here, where this line of the dress is curving upward, that's kind of, the dress is curving inward. I don't know how to show that better, but like, so here's the outside, it curves inward and then comes out. So we're gonna draw a little triangular shadowy shape there. So anywhere the dress curves upward toward her, I'm gonna draw one of those triangle shapes. And I've shown this before in my how to color clothes video. So that one, the triangle, I just connected to this wrinkle here. have no plan for what my next color is going to be. I just know that this is going to be kind of a raspberry-ish color, so I'm laying in some shadows with raspberry. I apologize if you can hear a beeping noise. That's coming from somewhere outside. Just deepen some of these shadows here. All right, let's take a peek. I really like that raspberry color. I think overall that is what color I want her skirt to be. So we need to find a darker shadow. So I'm looking at Tuscan Red's not really much darker, but it is a little cooler, which helps a shadow. Black raspberry might be good, but it's just so dark. I hesitate to go that dark that quickly. But we're gonna do it. YOLO. Okay. Because we're going so dark, we're using such a dark pencil. It's a little scary to me. So I'm going to go really lightly and over only those lines. Once I add more color on the skirt, I can go over it with this color again, and it won't be quite as dark because again it will be resistant because of the wax already on the paper. So the order you put down your pencils matters in that if you're laying down a dark color and there's no pigment on the paper already, you're going to really easily get that color to be really dark. If you have pigment down on the paper already and then you're trying to lay down a dark color, it's not going to get as dark as that pencil is capable of because the pigment is resisting, the pigment on the page is resisting the pigment from the pencil. Especially with wax pencils, that's true. It is also true with oil, at least I found with the polychromos. So in general, that's a rule you can kind of live by. If you're trying to get the blackest black, lay that black down first before you lay down any other color. Didn't really put in any shadow here, so let's do that with the raspberry. And then the black raspberry. See, if I had laid the black raspberry down first and then put the raspberry on, the black raspberry would have looked much darker than it looks in the other places. And it would have looked like a weird shadow out of place. Okay. And now what I do is I just build color. So I'm going to use the same raspberry that I used before, and I'm just going to make the shadows that I drew in before darker and bigger. Because I've decided that's going to be my main color, so I'm not going to be afraid to use it now. And right now I'm preserving white of the paper, but I'm not going to keep it white like I did with the ribbon because again, this is not a shiny fabric. I'm sort of imagining this fabric like a cotton or a linen. So it's not going to be shiny, which means we're not going to keep the white. I'm just leaving the white for now to lay a highlight color in later. Now, highlight. Could do Deco Peach. Doesn't feel right though. I'm gonna start with Deco Peach, but I know I'm gonna have to layer a color on top of it. So I'm gonna put this down in the highlighted areas now. So the white is no longer white, the white is now Deco Peach. And see, just by doing that, I've made it look less shiny. It is no longer a shiny material. This is interesting. This Deco Peach, as it blends the raspberry, is making that raspberry really pink. It's like pulling the pink pigment out of it. See, as it goes over top the raspberry, it's like saturating it. More raspberry. And because I'm making the shadows darker now, it is bringing some of that shininess back, but we're going to dilute that a bit. our Deco Peach again, just to help blend some of those things out. And this is kind of, I'm getting close to burnishing now. And what I'm doing is I'm going over kind of everything with that Deco Peach now, because I'm using it as like a blending pencil. Oh, and the fridge again. Okay, and now I'm going to take the raspberry, because I haven't used that, and not the raspberry, I'm sorry, the black raspberry, because I haven't used that very recently, and I'm basically just going over those lines to make the lines look more like shadows and less like lines. And just darkening some little shadow areas. This is looking slightly more shiny than I first imagined, but I'm kind of liking the way that it's looking right now, so I might de-shinify it just a little bit, but I think it's actually looking kind of cool. Okay, raspberry to help blend some of that out. And this is basically my whole coloring process, is just layer 1, then layer 2, then layer 1 again, then layer 2 again, then layer 1 again. My goal right now is to blend out some of these shadows I just put down, and also to flatten some of the white tooth of the paper. So I'm trying to flatten in some of those darker areas. And I might go over this with an actual blending pencil when I'm done. I'm going to take the nectar again. Try to flatten it out. I am really burnishing now. I feel like I am done with this skirt. So I didn't end up layering anything on top of the nectar. That's okay. I like the way that it's looking. I am going to, this is a little messy here, so just really lightly. Because I've burnished, it is really resistant to this raspberry color, so it's easy for me to just really lightly lay that down. And I think here what I'm going to do is darken. So I think what I want is the brightest highlights to be here, and then the highlights to slowly get darker this way. So I'm just going to darken these ones a bit, add a little more raspberry. And here too, but I haven't burnished there yet. I want to burnish first because then it's really resistant. Because it's resistant, it preserves some of that highlight. This is the raspberry, by the way, that I'm just going in and burnishing the darker areas with. So I'm going to see if a blending pencil adds any difference to it at all, because I really don't want those toothy bits showing through on this skirt. So this is the CaranDace blender pencil. I've discovered this is the only blender pencil that I actually like using. If you watch my old blending video, which is from a few years ago, I did not show this one because I didn't have it at the time. And I'm not sure it's going to make a difference because I already did the burnishing, so. I'm just trying to go any spots where I can see the white of the paper tooth that didn't get flattened by the burnishing process. And it is flattening those bits out a bit, so not a huge difference. If you're looking from far away, you're not going to see it, but I'm sitting right here and I just don't want to see the tooth of the paper. So I think that's probably where we'll leave our page for today. If you liked this video and found it helpful, be sure to give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing for more content like this in the future.